So in Grenada, beryl made landfall, causing catastrophic damage, particularly in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Over 98% of buildings were severely affected, including health facilities, schools, and the Carriacou Airport Terminal. The storm disrupted water systems and communications, with only 52% of water systems operational shortly after the event. Moved on to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where the southern Grenadines experienced extensive destruction with over 90% of buildings and critical infrastructure destroyed.
An assessment of damages is usually done by the utilities to look at the damage to infrastructure. And this is usually done by a damage assessment team. These teams have been trained to carry out the damages. And as indicated before, the utilities will prioritize the critical infrastructure like hospitals, police stations, street lighting, etc.
So it is important to build a cooperative relationship with relevant organizations during normal times, so before hurricane comes. So, and to create the systems that smoothly transition from the humanitarian assistance phase to the recovery phases.
We have actually strengthened our emergency response capacity and structures and moved from a central emergency operation to a better best practice called incident command, where in incident command, everything is centralized in one group. All decisions are made there, planning and operations are almost 24 hours. And so we recognize it's not just infrastructure, but you have to really be in a constant mode of engagement.
But what we really need to drill down a little bit more into is some detailed and multi-layered continuity of service planning scenarios that includes sharing information with operators that are dependent on the systems that the utilities provide, so they too can look at their own operations. So we know electricity is the key for several of the other utilities. And without that, we're not able to have the telecoms, we're not able to have the water. But when we think about the coordination and emergency response, a lot of it is done in silos. So the electricity is there looking at what they're doing. We have the collaboration of actors, but I think there needs to be the multi-utility and actors stress testing of the system so that we fully understand where those failure points are, and to be transparent with the results that come out of the assessment.
Yeah, a big part of the conversation for us is what do you do in terms of building the resiliency before the event, and that becomes a part of our capital program. So that's basically the kind of normal sort of operation for us here at the utility.
For us, we received funding from CDRI, and we thank CDRI for that funding because it will allow us to build resilience within manpower and also to provide technical assistance much easily for the utilities. Once that is completed, the replacement of items, replacement of materials, and also standardizing the materials across the board will be easier for the utilities post-disaster.
So building back better concept is a very key for the critical opportunity for preparing for the next disasters and reducing disaster risk.
In terms of enhancing resilience going forward, so we have quite a few lessons learned out of Beryl. And so, in the line of just our designs and standards, that's a big focus for us right now. So we have reviewed a couple of our network corridors, and we have plans for rebuild because they do not meet the criteria to withstand, significant storms. So we are about reviewing existing infrastructure in terms of the quality of their construction, and set specific projects to rebuild infrastructure. We're also looking at resilience, not only the transmission and distribution network, but we're looking at resilience on the generation side, where we want to make sure that as much as possible, we can bring up the grid as quickly as possible. by ensuring standby facilities.
But I think this is a key thing that we need to focus on. Realistic maintenance schedules that really recognize and account for the resourcing that we have in the entity and also and the country and the region. Those things are important because we are able to acquire the infrastructure through whatever ways we're able to get it with innovative financing and also some level of development partner input and donor support. And in maintenance, we need to look at the capacity, the human capacity to be able to support that with the training and the retraining and ensuring that as new technologies come on board, that those persons who are responsible for the maintenance are able to maintain it and the appropriate resourcing, including money, is placed there.
But I think this was a very good, a very good session, and we need to kind of, especially since at this time of the year where we're close to the 1st of June, the start of the hurricane season, we need to expand and sensitize the public so they understand our role as well as the role of the utilities and how everything works together.